Julia from Little World of Whimsy, and today we're going to talk about how to fix a dropped stitch when you're knitting stockinette. So this might be a little bit of a scary topic for a lot of beginner knitters because dropping a stitch when you're knitting is really scary. Because it seems like it's fallen down and then you can't pick it up and you don't know where to go, so maybe you've ended up frogging your entire work or even just or frogging half of it, which can be really devastating. So today I'm going to teach you two different methods of how to pick up a drop stitch and fix it so that you're going to be able to continue knitting without any disruptions. And one of those techniques will use a crochet hook, and one of them will just be using the knitting needles that you have right on hand. And you can choose whichever method that you prefer or you think is easier. I'm a crocheter, so I have lots of crochet hooks, but that might not be the case for you. So dropping a stitch when you're knitting can look like this. When you're just knitting stockinette like normal and you're having a great time, and then all of a sudden one of your live stitches, which is one of the loops hanging on your knitting needles, falls off the needle, and then you pull it a little bit and then it falls down and down until there's this little ladder left. And maybe it falls down several rows. So when you see this, don't panic. But your first instinct might to be like, oh no, it's dropped down and how am I ever going to save this? I'm going to have to redo the whole thing. No, you do not. So just to clarify again, a drop stitch looks like this when you have your knitting on either side, and it looks like there are these little rungs going across between where the row of stitches was there before. And I just want to point out that it looks like there's this little ladder of however many rows your stitch fell down, and then your stitch is still here. So remember that live stitch that we had on our needles before? It just fell down and now it's still here. And it could fall down like one more row. Like if I just pull it out, then oh no, it's fallen down one more row and the stitch is now here. So you'll always have that stitch somewhere, but it just might not be at the top. So I'm going to go over the first way to rescue this stitch, and this is going to use a crochet hook of a similar size. If you don't have the exact same size as your knitting needles, I'm using 8mm, my Takumi 8mm Clover needles, and I'm using my 8mm Clover hook. But if you do not have the same size of crochet hook, that's okay. You can use a smaller size or even a bigger size. It just might not look perfectly even, but make do with whatever you have. So with my crochet hook, I am going to insert the tip of the crochet hook through the stitch. And that stitch again is a little loop that's still visible down here. And above the stitch you see this little ladder, and below it is the stitch is intact. So I'm going to insert it from bottom to top, and then I'm going to angle the crochet hook downwards. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook the crochet hook on the next rung up, so it's going to be like we're climbing the ladder. I'm going to hook it on the next rung, and I'm going to pull this rung through the loop on my hook. So I'm going to demonstrate that slowly. So I'm going to hook the next rung in the ladder, which is this one right here, and I'm going to pull it through the loop that was on my hook. So I'm going to pull it through, and look, we've just climbed one of the ladder rungs, and we now have another stitch that is been repaired. But as you can see now, my crochet hook is angling this way. So to continue climbing the ladder, I'm going to pull the crochet hook out and reinsert it from bottom to top so that I can repeat that step. So we have 4 rungs of the ladder left. So I'm going to hook the next rung, pull it through, and then replace the crochet hook, and then pull it through, and just keep repeating until I get to the very top. And there we have it. We have reached the top, and you can see that the rungs of the ladder are no longer visible, and we have picked up a dropped stitch. So the only thing left to do is to quickly put the stitch back on the needle, and be careful that the right leg, so you can see there's a loop here, this is the left leg and this is the right leg, the right leg should be closer to you. So the right one is going to be on the outside right here, closer to me. And then with that, I can just continue knitting like nothing ever happened. And you can see that you cannot even tell which stitch dropped, and that there was a gaping hole here previously. So I'm going to show you one more way to repair a drop stitch, and this is going to be using the knitting needles itself. So I'm just going to pretend I dropped another stitch. Oh no, it's fallen down. And so the way I'm going to do this is very similar to the crochet hook, but I'm just going to use my hands a little bit more. So in this case, you can see the stitches drop down 3 rows, and we need to climb 3 rungs of the ladder. So instead of inserting the crochet hook, I'm going to insert a knitting needle. It can be any knitting needle. I can just grab an extra one that I have, but I'm just going to use one of the ones that is actually holding my knitting. I'm going to insert it from front to back through my stitch, and I'm going to hook up one of the next rung of the ladder. So this is the next rung, and I'm just going to pull it onto the needle, and then instead of hooking it through, I'm just going to use my fingers to pull the stitch over the rung in the ladder. So I'm just going to pull it over, and we've just climbed 1 more stitch. So I'm just going to repeat that 1 more time, 2 more times actually. So I'm going to pick up the next rung, and I'm going to pull the stitch over it, and then we do that 1 more time. And now we have our repaired stitch. And I'm just going to pull it off that needle really quick because it doesn't belong there. We haven't knit into it yet. And I'm just going to replace it onto my left knitting needle. And again, the right loop is going to be facing you. And look, it looks like nothing ever happened, and we can continue knitting like normal. So hopefully between those 2 methods, you found one that could work for you. I prefer the crochet hook method because I just think it's easier to just hook it through, also because I'm a crocheter, but you may not have a crochet hook on hand, so it's always handy to know more than one way to fix a dropped stitch. I hope this video was helpful, and if you liked it, please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much.